Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dragon's Greed Gaming. This Monday here, we're going to be playing some Blades in the Dark, a little game we like to call Sins and Consequences. I've been drinking a little bit. I'm on my third beer for the night, which is a little unusual for me, but I've got these Jelly Kings from Bellwoods Brewery, and they're pretty good. It's not sponsored. Bellwoods Brewery, if you want to sponsor me, I know you don't got the money for it. I know you guys personally.
Those are delicious, though. It is like
They are.
syrup, like it's
dude, that
liquid
sounds great.
sugar. It's amazing.
Dude,
Yeah,
get some of
it's
those and bring them for for Gen Con.
I'm not bringing booze over the border. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh,
I'll-
Canada! Damn! Just keister 'em.
Yeah, I'll just throw like 7 beers up my asshole. You know. What
You
a
got to
great
use it
way
for
to start
something.
off the podcast. All right. You know what? We'll just very quickly go over. You know what, ladies and gentlemen at home, and also you guys here in the thing. We are over on Instagram, or at least I'm over on Instagram, at poultrygeist0_0. If you want to check out, I guess pictures of my pets, I post very occasionally, and I'll be posting just some stuff to do with the show, and of course you can always just find our links there as well as other stuff that I'm working on as it comes out. You should check out the YouTube, the Alien show that they're running. They're recording it right now, actually, at the same time we are. They're actually going to be posting like video content. You can look at Chris's face if you want to, and then you can turn it off if you don't want to.
Who wants to do that?
God.
Get that guy out of here.
No, but yeah, they got some cool stuff going on that. There's gonna be more video content over on the YouTube. You can follow us on Spreaker and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave reviews, comments, all that good stuff. If you comment on the YouTube or on our Facebook as well, generally we're pretty good for responding. Either Adam or I are on the YouTube a lot. I've noticed Adam replies to comments there. Chris, not so much.
I get on the tubes.
Yeah, I know you get on the tubes. They're usually the first comment, to be honest, on most of those videos.
Yeah, dude. yeah. That's me. I mean, they're all like, "Hey, I think this guy's hilarious."
Yes, you do. And then, of course, over on, if you want to help us out a little bit more, you can throw a couple of coins into the Dragon's Hoard. You can check out our Patreon. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there's 3 different tiers. They get you all different stuff. They get access to exclusive art, exclusive shows. I think there's an exclusive Patreon channel. You can come in and bother us, and that's wonderful. And Adam disappeared into the void, so that's no good. No good at all. I hope he's okay.
Welcome back.
Just go
Adam.
on without him. It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We
It's like
don't
you
need
would
Adam. Don't need Adam.
I don't know what happened.
That's all right, bro. But yeah, check out the Patreon, check out all that good stuff. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce the players. I'm going to start with Ethan. But Ethan, this week I don't want you to tell me a single thing about what happened to you this week. I don't want to tell you about video games. I only have one question for you, okay?
All
What's
right.
the name of your character? And if you had the choice between everyone in the world having flying cars that moved as fast as like regular cars do now, or just you, had a tractor that could fly at the speed that tractors move, what would you pick?
Wow,
That's
that
so
sounds
weird.
like a really tough one there. Yeah, so my name is Ethan. I'm going to be running Vay Helker, or just Vay. He is a spider or a mastermind and has been working on his resolve with, what is his name? Danny Deraviso. That's the librarian at our lair, and definitely getting really chummy with him. And to answer your question, I'm actually... So it was for having everyone else in the world to be able to have flying cars.
Everyone in the world, including you. You can have a flying car too.
Okay, or just the showpiece of having a flying tractor. As much as I do love the ridiculousness of tractor flying around at like 3 or 6 kilometers an hour, I think I would go with the flying cars, just in that I do strongly hold the beliefs that once people stop driving, that all traffic will be solved. And so as soon as we can, create robots to be our masterminds for that, I think the world will be in a better place.
You
Okay, so
You have
Are
not played
wrong.
Shadowrun.
At all.
Ah,
Yes, there is a wrong answer to that question, by the way. All right. And you put it out there into the world. Audience at home, get your flying tractors, cherish them forever. I don't need traffic in my skies. All right, and then of course we got ourselves CJ DeBono.
Hello.
Hello. My weird question for you today is, how do you feel about horses? Again, there is a wrong answer.
I believe you missed the part. I was supposed to introduce my character. We're just going straight into
No, no.
horses.
Well,
no,
okay.
let's just talk about
okay.
horses.
Yeah, no. Let's talk about your character, how they feel about horses, and then immediately how you feel about horses.
Well, I'm CJ. I'm playing Myri Skell Kalan. Considering horses are very rare in Duskfall, she probably thinks they're some snooty rich person pet. Like, oh, they have horses. Wow, really flashing their money. And I guess I still feel that way in real life because rich people have horses. You're either rich or you're on a farm to own a horse. So.
That's true. I live in an area where there are like quite a few horses, just because I live in like a very rural area, and I just think horses are overrated and kind of stupid animals. Just saying. I've spent a lot of time around horses, and they're not very smart.
I
I'm
know,
sorry if you
I
love
know
horses.
they're not smart, but they're still cool. I'd still want to ride one.
Oh, I can ride a horse, but that doesn't make them better than cows. That's all I'm saying.
You can ride a cow too if you're brave enough.
Cows are
Yes.
just giant dogs, technically.
All right,
I don't think that's
and then
true.
we got ourselves Adam. Adam, tell us about your
Oh.
character, and then tell me what your favorite goat is and why.
Oh, I actually have an answer for that. Okay, so my favorite character is I'm sorry, let me start over. I've been drinking some beers too. My name's Adam. Hello. I'm gonna be playing Jacob Bridgewater, aka Stormy, tonight. Ludes is on vacation, I think, or something. We'll find out later. We'll get to that.
I'm
My
gonna miss
favorite
him.
goat. Yeah, don't worry, he'll be back. My favorite goat. Check this out. This is legitimate. There's this goat named George, right? And it's a goat that belongs to. All right, man, this is gonna be confusing. My dad's ex girlfriend has this goat named George that's named after my dad, whose name is George. That goat is my favorite goat. I've got pictures of me with that goat. I'll send them to you guys
That's a
later.
good answer. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
George
My
the
favorite
goat
goat
is
ne-
a bully.
Oh
He
yeah.
steals goat food
Billy
from the other
bully?
goats. Yeah, he's a Bill bully. Yes.
Nice.
That kid ain't right.
Ah,
Not kidding, right? All right, and then of course we've been hearing a new voice in the background there. You might recognize him as the Night Runner from the Shadowrun Paydata podcast. This is of course Dio. Dio, introduce your character. You don't have to use his full name if you don't want to, because you do have one of them. You have a character in this because you are playing now that you're back from Japan.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing Albatross. As to describing the character, I feel like I'm going to hold off on a little bit of that up until he walks into
Absolutely.
or whatever he does. But yeah. I'm excited to play.
Yes.
I'm glad to be back. From
Oh right,
Japan,
and I gotta ask you a weird question. I'm leaving you out. I'm so sorry. Okay. If you had to eat a dog or 1,000 fish, what would you pick?
1,000 fish.
like in one sitting?
Make
But like,
one-
but like they're like a kid's pet fish or a kid's pet dog.
It's gold.
Oh.
It's the
And
goldfish
the
from
kid
the
has to
carnival
watch
where
it.
you have to throw the thing into the goldfish tank to win it. It's all those.
I mean that only reduces the amount of like meat that I have to eat with fish. Like I just feel like morally like, man, goldfish. I feel there would be more goldfish in the world than there are dogs. In addition to that, I would have no quandary with eating. I as a child, I poured milk into a fish tank, so I have absolutely no problem killing fish.
Were you trying
Oh,
to eat him like
that's
cereal, you monster?
For like an experiment.
Well, there was it like Captain Crunch inside of there too? There was a lot of things in there. It wasn't just milk.
I think you
You're
leave
eating
that
fish.
part out.
What did you do? What? Why? I have so many questions.
I was like 2 or 3 years old, man. I don't even know what the like whole like
All right.
reasoning for it was. It was baby brain. There was a potato putting food into the fish tank. That's about it.
My daughter's like 2.5, and she makes some very, very conscious decisions. Very
Well,
conscious.
someone
Better
said it
father
was
than
like
my
an
parents.
experiment. Someone asked if it was an experiment. That is what being a toddler is. You're just constantly experimenting. It's like a mad scientist,
She's
but you're just trying to figure out how
experimenting with
feet
my
work.
patience. Oh my
And,
God. I'm like,
of
don't
course,
eat that. It's a
last and-
rock. And then just.
Oh. Well, kids are always trying to eat rocks. That's just a fact. Anyways, last but definitely least, it's me, Aaron. I'm the GM, also known as Poltergeist. I play everybody else in the world, and yeah, I'm not gonna ask myself a weird question. You guys want to ask me a weird question?
Oh,
Do you
I
think
do, but I
there's
can't.
more doors or wheels in the world?
I'm gonna say that there's more wheels, only because several vehicles have more than like their fair share of wheels. You know, like
I mean-
there's like vehicles that got like 18 wheels on them, and there's like a
There's
lot
Yeah,
of
that's true.
But
Those are the
have you
advantage
heard,
of any door that has wheels on it.
have you
Yeah.
heard the follow-up?
Yeah, there's a lot of buildings, but some buildings only have one door. Some don't have any doors, right? They're just like jails for the people that live inside, like The Sims, you know? Those
What
are real.
about, what about computers, though? Computers have doors.
And they have windows.
Oh, all right. I'm out. See you guys. It's been nice. See you in hell.
All right. And on that note, I need to rein in the hilarity for a moment, because we're in Duskfall, and that's not a very funny thing at all. All
Oh,
right.
you get sad.
It's actually, we're not in Duskfall. We're not in Duskfall right this moment. We're actually on a carriage. We're on like a convoy of carriages traveling across the Deadlands. And Albatross, you are sitting beside a man that you've known for several years. You've been traveling from Tycheros. You've been heading south. When you left, there was about 10,000 of you. Probably at least, I would say like 5,000 or 6,000 of these carriages carrying people, carrying goods. In the time between the starvation and sickness and ghosts and demons, you're probably down to your last 1,000 or so people. But you can finally see the beacon that is the crackling lightning barriers of it's actually not Duskwall. It's the West Hook, which I forget the name of the city, but it's the westernmost city in Akaros. And you know that you have finally made it. And at this time, the man beside you, he turns to you and he says, "Well, Albatross, are you prepared for your mission? You know that most of us are going to be heading south. We're going to be heading into Arovnia. I've heard that we have some allies there, but you and your team, they're going to be heading north. I heard there's a city called Duskfall. There, find people who would be sympathetic to our plight, and just prepare for our landing. We'll send word once we can." And at that point, that happened probably about 7-8 years ago. Like that conversation, you have not heard from them since. And so you've been waiting and you've been conducting your mission, which, well, a peek behind the screen, we don't know what the mission is yet. The mission is what the story tells us it needs to be. But the mission, it's been 8 years. You've been doing it diligently. And you have found people. You found people that are powerful, that are not necessarily sympathetic to your cause, but they are amenable to making deals with just about anyone. And exactly. Such a person that you know is a man named Lord Skurlock. You may not know him personally super well, but you've done work for him in the past. What kind of work do you think that you have yourself do when you're really looking for money?
As a mercenary, he wouldn't really care about the work itself. You give him the money, he'll do the job for you.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so you've done some rather unscrupulous work for Lord Skurlock, but you've also been hired as security during fundraisers for the poor. You find yourself working with him more than anyone else, especially as the years go on and he's kind of learned to trust you. And one day, he says to you, there's a group of people, they've recently moved in to the old university out in Six Towers. And of course he wouldn't say out in Six Towers because you guys are both in Six Towers right now. You're at a coffee shop that he owns. And the two of you are sitting there and he's enjoying a tea. I don't know if you are partaking in anything at all, but
Absolutely. He's holding the glass like this, his pinky's out, sipping with a nice cup of tea.
Little
Yes.
crumpet.
And
Oh, absolutely.
says-
Yeah.
And he says, I would like for you to extend to them this letter and an offer of protection, if you know what I mean. And of course you do know what he means. So you've done this many times before. Lord Skurlock will allow certain individuals to kind of live in areas that were previously claimed by associates of his. Six Towers. Dio wouldn't know this. I think I've mentioned it to the other players, but Six Towers, probably within the last decade, I think it was 7 years ago, it was actually like a very rich, wealthy area, and there was a lot of noble people here. It was kind of like a combination of Charter Hall and Brightstone in terms of like the people that lived there, but the lightning barrier failed and everybody either relocated or died, and the district was abandoned and people moved from the poorer districts into Six Towers and started squatting, and just nobody's ever really reclaimed it since then. Lord Skurlock is one of the few that didn't leave, and he is actively trying to rebuild the community in his image. And so when he says he's offering protection, he is offering protection. He's not a thug. He's not asking you to threaten them. But he is also not necessarily taking no for an answer. And you know that to be true.
You can paint him in any light you want. I like Lord Skurlock. I think he's a cool guy.
I mean,
He doesn't care what kind of gentleman he is. Or thereof gentleman.
Yeah. You two finish your tea. He flips you some silver pieces for your time. Don't mark that on your character sheet or anything. That's not like, I'm not giving you coin, but he flips you some money for your time. And you make your way over to the university. Your feet kind of clack against the uneven cobblestones. You're looking around into the windows of these abandoned buildings. Some have reopened, and there's actually like storefronts and stuff like that, with freshly painted signs, but poor quality goods in the windows. You see a lot of homeless people kind of milling about without purpose. But presumably you ignore them and you make your way to the university, and you find these abandoned university grounds overgrown in parts with trees, mushrooms. It's damp. Parts of the walls have caved in, and you see a lantern or a bunch of lights on inside of the library. There is a door, but also to the one side, the wall is kind of knocked in, and you could just walk in. There's a curtain that's currently thrown up.
It's an old
We're
bed
working
sheet.
on it.
It's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bed sheet.
The stain in the middle that we don't talk about.
Don't talk about the stain. Why are you bringing
behind,
it up?
behind the scenes, I don't ever want that wall to be fixed.
It's already fixed. It's good.
It's fixed. It's fine.
before waltzing in, Albatross will just take a deep sigh, fix a mask to his face,
Oh.
and essentially what you see walk into the room is a very elegantly dressed man. Well, a very elegantly dressed man. Pretty short though, kind of like about Wolverine's height, give or
Is that
take.
like 5'3"?
Yeah. Not Canadian though, but
People forget that
Um,
Wolverine's supposed to be really short. That's why, in my opinion, he should be played by Danny Radcliffe.
but they got Hugh Jackman back, so. But he
Yeah, for
walks
now.
in
For now.
very elegantly dressed. He's wearing essentially he's wearing a vest, white collared shirt, really elegant dress pants with buttons on the side, a beautiful shoes with leather and Velcro along the seams of it, and you're just like, I'm sorry, I'll describe him.
What's his arm look like? We talked a lot about his arm.
But, well, speaking of that, as he's walking in, you see him tinkering with his arm. His fingers are moving out of sync. Then he twists it, and it like you see it straggling out, and like if it's, how do I put it? The hands twisting and moving out of sync, and then as he twists it, it stops and breathes like if it's in pain, and then all the fingers move in motion as if it's functioning again.
So it's like a robot? With a mask?
Is it a
And-
fleshy hand or is it a metal hand?
He's got leather Velcro shoes? That's
So
the big
way I
mystery.
describe it-
Let's stop talking about the hand. Let's talk about the Velcro shoes.
He's got, those
Velcro can be
straps on
fancy.
him.
Or not Velcro. Oh, so
No,
what's
Velcro cannot be
like-
fancy. It's illegal.
Are you talking about like
There's
the
laws.
leather strap boots, like the buckles?
okay. The best way I could describe it is like it's not Velcro per se. It's some more of a felt actually, or something like that along those lines. Like it looks almost like fur, but
Oh,
Like it's not
But-
Velcro, it's a fur hook and latch system. People, okay? I don't
it's
want to hear
still-
anything
it's
more
still
on
like
it.
a hook and loop, yeah, but it's
I
when
don't know
it
like,
says
jack
damn.
shit
something
about materials.
Velcro,
I'll leave it at that.
it's
damn.
wait.
Albatross
Oh, it's not
invented
Velcro.
Velcro.
Velcro's not right. Velcro's like the closure.
Oh.
It's like Yeah.
No, but it just he's decked out in fancy clothes. If he could have a gold watch, he would, but it doesn't work with his hands. But he has claws for hands. That's
What?
one of the bigger tells
Oh.
of that.
what kind of claws are we
And they're
talking about?
clear. Like better yet, let me show you. This
Yeah.
image is not indicative given what's coming out of the hand, but this is essentially how he looks.
He's too small for me to focus on. What the hell is that? What the hell is that?
You'll
Here.
figure
What
it
the hell
out
is it?
eventually.
that's okay. I haven't uploaded it into Foundry yet, and we're gonna get some other art.
It's
But
like
yes,
your hand looks like a crab.
It's like an armor kind of look to it. Very cool. I like that.
In the drawing itself, his hand's like this. Like it's reeled back.
Hmm.
That's a
Yes.
mechanic, but that's besides the point.
I'm gonna
but
call
the
him Johnny
intricacies, the
Crab
weird
Hands.
looks. It's
But yes.
like, yeah, but it's very intricate, very very mechanical, at least for these hands that he's wearing, and So who's in front of me now? Now that I've walked into this room, what's how describe the character? Like who am I
Yeah.
meeting here?
why don't we take a moment and describe the room?
Okay.
We'll I'm gonna start, and then we'll just kind of work through. You guys agree or disagree with me? But I like to think of it as like a very large library. One of those ones that has like a balcony. Up like where
like a
like there's
second
reading
tier.
tables.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got these very tall bookshelves. Like I would say that the room is probably like 30 or 40 feet tall, and it's got one of those like ladders on that moves along the bookshelves.
Like the rolly ladders? Cool
exactly.
rolly ladders? Yeah, dude, I love those. Those
Yeah.
are so cool.
Yeah.
Gonna
Yeah.
be
And
a
Daniel,
huge
you've seen use them. He's very good at it. He's kind of nimble on the ladders, despite his age. Here's a picture
Kinda
of
like-
the guy, by the way.
Is it kind of like the
I
Beauty and the
have-
Beast library?
Exactly. Dude,
Yes.
ever since I was a kid, I love it, dude. He looks like oh, what the hell's his name? The director that complains about Marvel movies.
Nero?
Martin Scorsese.
Oh yeah.
He kind of looks like
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese and George Costanza had a baby. His
Yes.
fingers look
Yeah.
so realistic. It's weird.
Yeah.
Can't help but notice
Yeah,
he's
it
not
does.
married. Ladies, take notice.
The
wedding ring.
He's only like 68 years old.
He's married to his work. We've established this already.
Yes.
But there's no ring on it. So.
Myra, keep in mind. But
All of our lady
yeah,
listeners
and
write
so-
in, and maybe he'll, respond.
and he's sitting at like a desk. It's kind of like one of those like half moon crescent shaped desks, with like a ton of books stacked on it, and he's kind of puttering slowly and organizing them and putting them into like bins that he's gonna sort and put them away. It just seems to be busy work that he's been at for years. The three of you at least would kind of know that he's been doing that for a long time. It's almost like he's making work for himself, that he always looks busy.
Okay. He's trying to impress somebody. That's all right.
And the three of you, what are the three of you up to? This room has been converted. There's quarters here. There's like cots or beds, whatever you want them to be. You guys live here for all intents and purposes.
So, for time-wise, so this is after we were done. We were talking with the ghost. So
Yeah, I think
hanging out.
I think the three of you came back and maybe had a conversation about that. You might be in the middle of that conversation when he shows up. You've literally,
Oh, so
or
it's, like,
maybe
right
just
away.
walking. Yeah.
All right, Mari pulls out the dagger again.
Immediately on the defensive.
And because
Lord,
Dio
they
wasn't.
keep coming at it. Give me a sec. I gotta
Oh.
find the accent again.
Oh,
And Lord, they keep coming out of nowhere.
Yes, this is the
So I
second
never got
person.
another one.
This is the second person to just walk into your secret lair in the last 24 hours. Yeah, and so why don't you take a second to describe what Myri looks like, both as a reminder for the listeners and for Dio, who wasn't there for the other account.
Yeah. All right. So, Mari, normal human woman, no crazy stuff going on. Her hair is a bit crazy though. She's got, it's in the cut of like a bob, but it's crazy copper coils that just kind of stick out here and there. The crazy mane is only held back by some modified welding goggles that she's got sitting on the top of her head. She's got a couple of freckles on her face. She wears a long coat, kind of trench coat style, but mostly for keeping warm. It's got a hood on it because it's cold and rainy in Duskov. Wears like an infinity kind of scarf that's like nice and tiered, and then kind of the underbust type of corset with some skirts that have seen better days that kind of end around her knees because knee mobility. Mostly warmth, and covered in grease.
Nice. And what about you, Adam? What does Jacob Bridgewater look like?
Oh man, let's see. I would describe him as gruff and handsome. He's got a vest on that's got way too many buttons. He's got like a beard that does cool things with a mustache, and it's kind of scoops forward from the chin. He's wearing a hat that makes him look like he might be some kind of sailor. which he is. Surprise. He's oh man, I don't know. I would put this guy at probably like in his 40s, but he's in pretty decent shape, and he looks quiet. You can tell because he's not saying anything right now.
And last and absolutely least, what does Vay look like?
First off, I also want to say though that like Stormy's character description has got like the best line for his looks, which is long dark hair that is always perfect.
Always perfect. It always looks windswept, by the way. Like at all times. Like there's always a little breeze that blows his hair, and he looks like the cover of a romance novel at all times.
All right, and Vay is he's a worn, slim man. He has heavy, dark. He's got like a heavy darkness underneath his eyes. He always looks very tired and thinking. And he wears a formal but somewhat tattered Victorian type clothing. So it's not quite as fancy as Albatross. I think he would be more on like from the sounds of it, I feel like Stormy and Albatross are very fancy and looks like they could just walk into a formal place, and I have the feeling like Vay and Myri are looking a little more slummy and tattered up a little bit, and so I think that's kind of a bit of a split between the group right now as far as
Stormy,
like how
Stormy looks like he's come from the wild seas.
Oh. So it's a 3-on-1 then, I guess.
Yeah. Though I imagine Vay cleans up well. We don't know about Myri, but
I'm sure we could.
Stormy looks like
Take
a
his dagger away
darker
from her
version
and
of
we'll
like
see.
Fabio from like an old romance novel.
Okay, wait, who's Fabio? Like,
Who's Fabio? He's the
it's-
guy. He's
No,
the
no,
guy
not,
from the
not
romance
Fabio,
novels.
but yes, I when I had the long curly hair, I was called Fabio way too many times. But like, who's the one that looks like Fabio again? Is it the one that's
Stormy,
dressed
that's
up?
my
I forget. Sorry. Okay, so your character looks like Fabio, and because to me, I'm
Except for,
hearing
like, dark
two
hair.
different kind of. Okay.
so we got
Look up the
Fob-
cover
we
of the
got
of the book Gentle Rogue, and put some dark hair and a beard on him, and that's me.
Yeah. we
I'm
got
sorry, that's
Pirate
not me.
Fabio.
That's not me. I don't look
played
like that.
by-
That's him.
We got Pirate Fabio played by Adam. We got greasy debutante in a corset and covered in and wearing welding goggles,
Yeah.
played by CJ, and then we have tired young man in his shirt sleeves played by Ethan. If I think that's kind of like the quick and dirty of it. Yeah, Vay is young, right? Before I start disparaging him.
I would say so. He's probably in his early 20s. He's like, just starting, like, there was maybe some optimism in it, but, is starting to kind of hit the real world and be, pushed down more and more and more. And so, yeah, he hasn't seen too much though. He would be like, pretty unscarred up until this point.
That's fair. Yeah. What a great way to launch off your 20s. You went right to prison, and now you joined a cult.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
As one does.
And yeah,
You all
the
have that college experience.
I went to college once.
yes, and
In
so
real
when
life,
you
I dropped out
entered,
of college 3 times.
nice. I only dropped out once, and I graduated once. So there we
Oh
go.
well. La di da.
La-di-da, I got a diploma. But Albatross, you come in, and I think Myri drew a knife and accused you of being a stranger.
That's so Myri.
That checks out.
Which wasn't wrong in her accusation, but she did make the accusation.
It's not really an accusation as much as it is an observation.
Okay. Just to kind of recap, after hearing the description of the characters, my whole mission here is just to protect these guys, right?
No, your mission is to extract money from them in exchange for Lord Skurlock's protection. That being said, there will be other things that will keep you here because you're a PC and this is your crew. But for right now, your reason for being here is because Lord Skurlock wants you to extract money from them. And for the rest of you, this is your payment to Lord Skurlock, which we haven't actually done in RP yet. This is why. It's because I wanted a way to introduce him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right, so after having been threatened and already affixing his arm, he's unfazed by the threats. Glances at every one of you and says, Lord Murloc would like for all of you to pay your dues.
Well, you should probably leather with that. And then she just puts her dagger away. At least someone's approaching us with proper English and not just coming in speaking randomness. Looks at Captain Man, who came in speaking cryptid words.
Captain Man.
The words aren't so cryptic as questions, more than cryptology. Sometimes you gotta question your surroundings before you can get to the bottom of what's really going on.
That is exactly the kind of thing. Whoa, I went French there for a second. Okay. And that's exactly the kind of thing I was talking about. Right. So you hear from what's his name? I don't remember.
Lord
the guy's name.
Skurlock.
Lord Skurlock is what you said you're here for.
Can you repeat the question?
This is the worst tax man ever. Sorry.
And this goes
No,
on for
we
hours
all-
back and forth.
Dude, yeah, it's 3 hours of this, and the whole time my guy's just all like, if you think about things from the left side, sometimes you're right.
So Myri just asked you if you said you came from on behalf of Lord Skurlock. Which I would say that Myri, you haven't heard the name before. It's not.
Oh, never
Yeah,
mind.
you that because he's like a notable figure about town, and like he's not on the city council, but you almost like feel like that might be just because he doesn't want to be, not because he wouldn't be eligible.
Lord Skurlock. I think I said Lord Murloc.
I think you
Yes,
called him a Murloc. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's Skurlock. SCUR lock.
I kept calling him Skurlocker last time on accident because I was thinking about those
Skurlocker.
billboards.
For the sake of having the soundbite, Lord Skurlock. No, but he's not going to respond to that. He's already said what he needed to say. And if anything, he looks like he's getting impatient.
All right. So I guess they would maybe jump in at this point and go. According to our understanding, is our current landlords are the Circle of the Flame. So maybe you could help clarify whether or not this is their place to let out, or if you're telling us that we're paying two landlords in order to occupy this residence.
And at that moment, there's a record scratch, and the narrator comes on and he says, "Circle of Flames." And this is all in
And he
Albatross's
chokes.
head. Yeah, he chokes. Yeah, the narrator chokes. But he's the Circle of Flames. That is something. That's a name that strikes a lot of interest in you, because they have things. They have access to artifacts and antiques and stuff like that. That you were actually sent here to find specifically. like some of the stuff that they collect are things that like belonged to Taikarosi like generals. When they first tried to, like years and years ago, like maybe 100 years ago, they tried to launch an invasion on the south, and they failed. A lot of that stuff is with the Circle of Flames. You've never had a way to know who the Circle of Flames are until maybe right now. Because they're a secret society of like very wealthy people and no one knows who they are. And so that would definitely ring like, okay, maybe these people do know the Circle of Flames. That might be worth learning more about.
How do you want to approach that though?
The other thing I'll say is like, in terms of how you might word it to them, you know that Lord Skurlock said something along the lines of like, when he collects protection, it's for the benefit of Six Towers. Six Towers is in a transition, a period of transition. It's going to grow. The people need your support, and in turn, Lord Skurlock promises to support the people that support the people. That's how he always says to you. He's like a politician. It's like a motto.
Man, I like this guy.
He wants their money so he could protect them, so they could protect other people.
Well, he's going to use the money to like, you know, rebuild the roads. Like that's like there is like active construction going on in Six Towers, and it's all like kind of helmed and paid for by Lord Skurlock. And he, in exchange, will kind of sometimes reach out to the people who do have money in Six Towers and be like, you got to pay your part. If you're going to stay here and you're going to commit crimes in my neighborhood, you got to at least pay.
He's a businessman. He's a pillar of the community.
Politician, and maybe something else.
He's a blood-sucking politician.
Oh yes, you've known Lord Skurlock enough to know he probably hasn't aged in a long while, and he doesn't have a shadow. Albatross.
Oh, that's a little concerning.
Yeah, you would just know that about him. So yeah, like there is like a lot of rumors about him. You don't know which are true, but you do know that he's friendly, but you don't know how far that goes. And yeah, sorry, just because you don't know who Lord Skurlock is, like you, Dio, but Albatross has known him for a long time, so you would know kind of that stuff about him. But yes, at this point in time, you guys are negotiating, and yeah, you might want to relay some of that information about who Lord Skurlock is to these people and why they should pay. It's in their best interest to pay.
And Lord Skurlock is a pillar of the community, and it would be in your best interest to pay your dues. That way, that way, you can keep doing whatever it is that you do, the grandstand kind of way that you do.
Sounds like this man is the landlord asking for his due, but I think I'd like to know a little bit more about this man if he's just going. I think I'd like to know a little bit more about. Just. Fuck. I don't know. What do I want? What else you want to know?
Maybe like you could try to get maybe proof or examples.
Alright. Well, what I'd like to know is. Fuck. Let me try again. Start from the top. Take it
What I
from the
want to
top.
know is where the fuck do you get off? Pal?
Albatross, you did get a
Who are
letter, by the
you?
way, from him to give to them as well. I did say that, but I think it might have just like slipped under the radar. So you have like an actual letter from Lord Skurlock written to them.
Do they have is it like so as the setup that they're in, like are they like at a table and they're all kind of congregated, or are they all separated in their own little corners and spots and now they're kind of going towards where I entered from? Like what's the
Yes.
I would say like I think like because like Mari, you pulled out the knife, so
Yeah.
maybe you'd be a few paces off from the table, but like I know like Stormy had just come in and we were chatting, so I can definitely see us all kind of generally sitting around a table, I don't know, Myra, if you would have sat back down again. I guess you sheathed it, so yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Stormy's like kind of his chair is tipped back a little bit at the table. He's got his legs crossed at the heel, his boots up on the table, and he's eating an apple with a knife. No, not an apple. That's not available. He's eating a bug loaf with a knife. Bug loaf. Look it up.
In response to your question, TJ, Albatross will flick his wrist and you see a letter show up. And he tosses it at the table. That's all the information that you need.
Similarly to the one that you got from the Circle of Flames, this one also has a wax seal that has been hand painted. And it's just, it's an L.S.
It seems
Actually-
legit.
Actually, you know what? He doesn't have a first name in the book. I'm going to say it's A.S.
Ooh, fancy mystery.
The mystery of what is Lord Skurlock's first name.
It's
But yes.
definitely Al.
Yes.
No, it's not Al. All right.
Do
let's
you?
go.
Does someone open the letter? I'm presuming.
It glides across the table. A little gust of wind kind of picks it up and it spins up into Stormy's hand. And he takes the knife that he was using to slice up the bug loaf and he slashes and opens it. Unfurls the letter. Gives it a little, he like slices it and he goes, and blows into it and it pops open so he can pull the letter out. Unfurls it. And he reads it.
Yes, and the letter reads, to whom it may concern, this is a letter penned from the desk of Lord Skurlock himself. I invite you to partake in the growing of the Six Towers community. I have been made aware that you have come here, that you are perhaps doing work with people such as the Circle of Flames, and of course, there is much work to be had here for those who are into the occult practices and research as well. I myself like to dabble from time to time. If I am correct, there is at least 2 members among you, one known as Vehelker, another known as Mairi Skelkalan, and the 2 of you have names, reputations that have been tarnished by the right names for me to trust you. That being said, it's expected that you'll pay your dues. If you don't pay it to me, you best be paying it to somebody of value. Protection here does not come free. Consider this an investment in your future. Come seek me in the future if you're ever in need of anything. Signed, the one Lord Skurlock.
I read that to them. And then pass it off to whoever's closest to me.
We'll say it's Faye.
There you go.
Yeah, they'd pick up the letter, glance over it again, just kind of making sure, but I imagine everything would be there. We wouldn't just change it narratively second afterwards. I lied. It actually
Tell it
said-
all again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody read the script.
Nope, definitely didn't improv it.
Yeah, I would, throw it back on the table and maybe hands crossed would start trying to think as far as, now we got 2 landlords, we got multiple mouths to feed, so guess we got to figure out how to make some money. And I guess he would maybe say that last part of and kind of look over to his to Myri and Stormy to see if there's any ideas on their side.
Yes. And notably, you still have not paid Albatross. But that's okay. That's maybe why he's waiting around. That's why he'll be here when things happen.
Yeah.
But-
I don't know. Should we side huddle here? Stormy, Myri, and Vay to maybe talk about we do have 2 coin right now as part of our cult. Is this something that we pay right now, or are we going to go on some adventure in order to get something
A,
else.
a voice
Yeah.
on high says you already paid it. In
Nice.
character
This is
creation.
the RP for the coin we already paid. So
Yes.
we technically have the coin and it's already taken care of. This is just the role play for it.
Here's your money, bitch.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's not my money. I got nothing to say about it. But
Yeah.
Just showed up.
I'm just here eating your bug loaf. Has anybody seen the movie Snowpiercer?
No, I haven't, but I want to.
Oh, it's got what's his name? Chris Evans in it, and like it's in this like post-apocalyptic future. There's like a climate apocalypse, so it's all like everything's like frozen, and they're the only people that are alive for whatever reason are on a train, which is kind of stupid. But you know, whatever, the movie's great. They got this bug loaf. They like compress all these like cockroaches and shit into like this gross loaf, and that's what they feed the people that are like in
That's a lot
steerage.
less appetizing than what I was thinking. I thought they just
Oh.
ground the bugs up into like the wheat in the meal to make the bread, but no, they're just...
No, it's like made out of bugs. It's like a jelly almost. It's like a fruit leather except bugs.
And Albatross, you hear Jacob talking about bug loaf and this fictional thing called a movie.
You ever
Like
hear
snow piercing.
Snowpiercer?
Just raises an eyebrow at all these weird movie references.
No, I'm kidding. I just want to get us back on track
It's
because
the
Yeah.
latest play.
This
Yeah, I mean, actually
conversation
did a-
doesn't need to take forever. We can fast forward a bit and say that you guys, you know, you kind of read the letter, and I guess I'll just ask, like, do you want to meet Lord Skurlock before you give him the coin, or are you going to give Albatross the coin?
Oh, I half expect them to give me the coin in general. That's Albatross's
Yeah, I would say with the amount of contractor intimidation of the man with the scary hand walking in, I think that is a fair pay the money now, talk to the person later.
Yeah, I was fine with paying it now.
That's fair. I just because it's already we're
A
already
little
an
bit,
hour
yeah.
in.
Like pay him now. Have the discussion of like, we need to find a way to get. Well, on the side, like, we'll pay him, but we should get money, guys. I think money's important.
Yes, you guys are in desperate need of money. You also have a meeting with the Circle of Flames coming up, I think. Probably later this evening, we'll say. So that's something to keep in mind. The Circle of Flames is someone who you had mentioned. They're not really your landlords. It was just expected that at some point you would
Patron.
meet with them. More like they have a job offer for you.
Okay.
Yeah, like that was kind of what Hutchings had implied. Is that, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like, you guys have a conversation. Albatross, you do get your coin. Do you guys, I'll just say this. I think that you guys should see if Albatross is for hire because you maybe are concerned you don't have protection.
I was actually going to state, as they would hand him the coin, Albatross will nod respectfully, take a light bow, and say, "Thank you so much for your patronage." No. Thank you so much for your patronage. If you have any need of my services. Clicks his wrist again. Card comes out. Hands it to who's handing him the coin?
Vay would. Vay's, I think, probably the one to trust with the money. No, maybe
It's
not.
not me.
But... That wouldn't be
Just
Stormy.
met you.
It's not Stormy. He showed up like 5 minutes ago, and it's not
Yeah.
because he's gone.
It's not Ludes for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And you see this beautifully designed card with like an intricate like bird over like the card itself. No number, no nothing. Just hands you the card, and you see him holding it like this. at the
Like
tip
a-
of
That's so
like,
tasteful.
like at the tip of the fingers.
For the audience at home, he's pointing it like a gun.
Yeah. Like this.
Oh, that's a
Right.
lovely embossing.
I mean, slightly thrown off, but having just given the money, they would take it. I'm sure the gun would be like uncomfortably a little too close to his face, and so he would just kind of be like putting the fingers forward and kind of pulling it back, and then just examining the card front and back. Said you said there was no info. It was just a bird.
Yeah, it's just the design of a bird.
An albatross.
Look at this photograph.
Yes. You would know that this is something that some people in the city do. It's basically like if you tear up the card, they'll know. And they'll come to you.
Look at the coloring. That's bone.
Yes.
The lettering
I-
is something called Cillian Rail. Sorry.
It's a very simple, like, ritual spell that people can do. And so you actually can make decent money just doing that for a living. Casting that spell over and over again on cards.
All right. So after he offers his services, Myri will kind of like pop in the conversation, like, "All right, you say you're available for service. What's exactly your skill sets?"
If you're ever in trouble, you'll find out.
No, I don't think you understand how this negotiation works. I need to know.
He's
exactly
already
what kind of
walking
thing you-
away.
Oh, okay.
All right,
And
Dio,
as
roll
he
up a
turns
new
around, you
character.
and as he's walking away, you see a devil's tail.
Okay.
Fair enough. And so we'll close this scene. The three of you discuss how that conversation went. You're still not sure why Jacob's here, but he doesn't seem intent to leave, and so maybe you just
So wait.
decide
I
the way.
picked him off the street. Can I keep him?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Dio.
Who's Jacob again? Oh,
Jacob
Jacob.
is
That's your
Adam's
character, right,
character.
Adam? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so wait.
So
You
last
said
session,
that there was another.
last session, Ludes, which was Adam's other character, overindulged and then just got lost, and so Adam just went,
Yeah.
I got like 2 other characters and just like threw them in, and so like the last hour of like or 40 minutes of like last week was us going, who the hell are you, and kind of going back and forth, and like that is exactly where it stopped because like
Yeah.
we're introducing a new character, so
Yes.
he is not that much newer than you.
Yeah. It's
Alright.
my guy's been around for I want to say like an extra half hour. They met him like a half hour ago. He's like, hey, I'm here. I'm eating your bug loaf, sitting at your table with my boots on it.
Was told to come here. Yeah.
Funny enough, I'm looking at your
Guys.
character. I had a coworker who looked fucking on the dot, exactly like him.
Super handsome.
wear an ascot, have a cowboy hat, except he drove a forklift.
Dude, my guy could probably drive a forklift.
Everyone thinks they
Yeah.
can until they actually have to.
It's
Phenomenal person.
It's
I'm
I drive a forklift at work sometimes. It's very similar to driving a boat. So there you go. You ever drive a
Right.
boat?
Yeah.
Oh, like where you have
actually, I
to. Well, depending on what kind of forklift you have to drive, yeah, you have to like spin it to make it work through.
It's kind of it's like drifty. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, dude, the first time I drove the forklift, they're like, "Yeah, it's like driving a boat. You ever drive a boat?" I'm like, "No, dude. Do I look like the kind of guy that drives a fucking boat? Like, I'm broke, man."
We got boat money. All right, so we'll fast forward a bit, and it's the evening. You guys know that you have a time and a place to meet. The Circle of Flames. I'm assuming you're all going.
Yeah. Is it like maybe fair to say, and maybe just narratively as well, that we would, on the way of walking to the meeting place, rip that card in order to get a little bit more muscle? Just.
Yeah, actually, maybe. Because you don't know who the Circle of Flame are per se. And
Okay.
you also know that the area they're taking you to is like a rough neighborhood in an extremely not rough neighborhood. So there is that. You also don't know what they're going to ask you to do. So extra hands on deck wouldn't hurt. Let's say you rip that card. With a little bit of time to spare. So Albatross, you kind of get that feeling in the back of your head that the card's ripped. And you would know that they're probably at the library because that's where you saw them last.
Putting down his tea, he leaves his apartment and starts going to the library.
Yeah, and you probably had a meeting with Lord Skurlock and gave him the coin. You know, unless, yeah, I'm gonna say that you didn't keep it, because you can't have it. But yes, so you meet with them. The four of you make your way through these kind of back alleys, and as you do, you find like there's fewer and fewer people. Six Towers is one of those places where, yes, it's very poor, but there's a lot of people, and it's actually a very lively area of the city. And not in the way that like maybe Coleridge is, where it's very industrial, or the way that Dunslow is, where there's just pockets of like impoverished, sad people. That there seems to be a little bit of hope in this community still. But not here, because here you are walking these like narrow alleyways, and like you're just thinking to yourselves, like, who would choose to be here? As the roads are just like torn up and they're like in complete disrepair. You're almost like climbing over piles of the cobblestone. And like the windows are shattered. Like large sections of the wall look like they've been bombed out on some of these buildings. And you get to the address, and it's just a cellar door.
It's the two sweetest words in the English language.
Yeah, you get to a dead end in an alleyway. There's a cellar door.
And I'm with them for this whole thing, or
Yes, yeah.
Do I recognize this place?
You recognize that this is a place that you've maybe gone. I don't know if your character, I'm not going to tell you if your character has ever killed someone, but if they have, this is where they've done it. This part of town is kind of where like the worst things that happen in Six Towers happen.
Oh, he would absolutely recognize it then.
Yeah. Because yeah, like there's just no one else. There's no one around, right? So even if you kill someone, the spirit wardens have to come here to get you, and you probably know how to move faster than they do. That's kind of what this part of town's for right now, or part of the district, I should say. Yeah, I'm assuming you guys open up this cellar door. You descend into this dank, dripping, like there's like condensation on the ceiling as it drips down onto the stone, onto your skin. And there's like a glowing like blue light kind of at the end. And as you approach, you see these people sitting at a table waiting for you.
Oh, they're not ominous. It looks like the Blood KKK, I would say. The
I try
KKK
not
of
to-
blood.
I don't. Yeah, a couple of them have pointed hoods, but they're not the KKK. I promise you that.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yes.
They look like a cross between the KKK and the Spanish Inquisition from Monty Python.
Nice.
I think that they have to be more intimidating than both of them, though.
It reminds me of the Port of Owls, actually.
You know who doesn't look like they're part of the KKK is the dude on the left that looks like Jesus.
Bro, what the fuck? Give him the smolder. He's the only one that's not. Well, there's two of them there wearing masks.
Yes, there are two of them not wearing masks, and the one on the left, you maybe recognize Stormy. Like you might have seen him before. He's the treasurer of the Ministry of Preservation.
Oh.
Like he's like a very important person.
Oh my. Okay.
The
And
man-
the guy in the center that looks like the singer from Beast in Black, who's that guy?
You've never met. You don't know who he is.
Okay.
I would say that you would probably have no way of knowing who he is.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I'll say. I don't want to tell you who he is.
That's fine.
But yes, you again, like, you have some idea, or at least some of you would have some idea that these are, like, it is a secret society of, like, some of the wealthiest people in the city. Like, so yeah, like, these are very important people. They are courtly in their demeanor, and the fact that they're even deigning to talk to low lives like yourselves
Scum.
is
Yeah.
yeah. And the treasurer, he stands up. He does not recognize you, because you maybe saw him in passing once when you were at the Ministry of Preservation. The Leviathan hunters do business with them all the time. But he does stand up, and he offers a polite bow, a traditional Akarosi bow, and he says, "Please have a seat. We have a proposition for you." And there are, at this table, like this big stone table, there are 3 chairs, because they were only expecting 3 of you. Because I think Hutchins specifically did not mention that Ludes was with you guys.
Okay.
Sorry, say that
I'll
again.
take a seat.
Hutchins. Yeah, Hutchins did not mention.
Yes, because Ludes is an unsavory character, and he was hoping that you would think not to bring him. That's just a little, like, that's the way Hutchins kind of thinks.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. You have no way of knowing that unless I just told you, and I just thought it was a funny little thing, so that's what I did.
Well played.
Yes.
After the chaos, Albatross won't take the seat. If anything, he'll be leaning against the wall and just kind of, or no, he'll be standing near the wall, kind of like brooding in the background.
So I was taking a seat.
Yeah.
Ladies get seats.
And Vay would sit.
Jacoby, are you sitting?
Yeah, I said yes right away.
Oh, okay.
I was the
sorry,
first
didn't
one to
hear
sit.
you. Fair enough. 3 of you sit down. The man in the center, and they kind of like I'm gonna just give you the gist of what they're saying, because there's 5 people sitting here, and I can't. My mind doesn't work that way. I'm not the guy from Split. But yes, the man from
It was
in the
Patricia.
center, he says, we are in the process of securing antiquities of sorts. There are, and sorry, I actually, I have it written down, and I just don't have it open because I'm a fool.
All
A
right.
damnable fool.
We're back at antiquities though. This came up
Okay.
episode 2, so I'm happy you've been paying attention.
Yes,
A UFO.
we are looking for the artifacts of Kotar. And these are things that existed before the fall of man, before the cataclysm, if you will. For the longest time, they have been known to be in the Deathlands. And 2 of them have been secured and moved to Duskfall. And 1 is supposedly outside the city walls. The Deathland scavengers themselves have found it, and they're hiding it. Is the best information that we have at this time. The other is somewhere in Charter Hall. The Foundation, as our man here will tell you, and one of them waves.
Hello.
Hi.
Bye. Yeah.
Yeah, he just does like a polite little whatever. In the Foundation, you would know they're like the masons and like the builders and the engineer, like the civil engineers of Duskfall.
You say
so, like,
masons,
they're
you mean
like-
like a brick mason, not like a freemason.
Like a stonemason, but they're also a bit like the Freemasons in that they might kill people from time to time.
Well,
Mason,
let's
mason.
not say anything about them negative where they
That's
could
okay.
hear
My
us.
grandfather was a Freemason. That's okay. I have to assume that he's killed some people. I'm just kidding. I don't know. But yes, one of them waves, and he says, a long time ago, probably 12 years ago, before my time here in the circle, we were tasked with hiding them somewhere within the walls of Charter Hall University, or Charter Hall Academy, I should say. And I don't know exactly where. I was not part of that endeavor, but I have been able to find that much information. And the last is on display at the Museum of the Ministry of Preservation. Which you would know is in White Crown.
Okay, so that's kind of that'll be number 3.
Yep. So yeah, they do know. You know that there's 3 of them out there. The artifacts of Qatar. This is the remains of a legendary sorcerer. A hero, I believe. And he was mummified before the cataclysm. We seek the eye, the hand, and the heart of Kotar. Each one of these would be worth more than you'd ever see in your life. Bring us all 3. And you'll never dream of money again. It will be a thing of the past.
What can you tell me about this fella?
Guitar.
Yeah.
Well, he was one of the men that, I believe it was his downfall that led to the cataclysm occurring. He was among the people that fought against the tides of undead and the tides of the necromancers and witchery, and there are rumors that he was a demonologist of sorts, but I believe that he was just well educated. There are many books on the subject. Would you like to read one?
Maybe I would. Maybe I would.
To say he was anything less than a martyr, it's just unthinkable, the things that they say about him.
Well, that's the
Don't
key word
believe
I
all
was
you
hoping
hear.
to hear.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
And Albatross, this is setting off alarm bells in your head. Qatar is like heavily vilified in Tygrosi culture. Like as the cause of the cataclysm. And that's kind of what you've always known him to be. He's like the boogeyman.
He's the what?
He's like the boogeyman. The boogerman?
Boogerman. I love that. That is my new favorite. My new favorite. Boogerman. I love it.
Yeah, he's like the boogerman.
That's so Canadian. I love it.
Okay, to be fair, there's 2 words I can't say right, and one of them is boogeyman and and skellington. Yeah, I can't say skellington, and that's not a Canadian thing. That's a me thing.
No, it's got to be a Canadian thing. Hey,
I'm
I love
sure
it, dude.
this
It's
list is going to
adorable.
go up as we keep
I
going.
can't wait.
Well, you've known me a long
kind
time.
of-
There are
every
some
kind
words
of
I
weird
cannot say.
creature. Every weird creature that comes up, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's a lizardman.
Oh
It's
boy,
gonna be-
howdy! You ever heard of them werewolves? Werewolves? Werewolves?
It's a werewolf.
It's a werewolf.
Dude, I had this guy way back when I worked at a video game store. I remember this guy came in. He's like, hey, you guys ever play that Wolfenstein game? Yeah, how do you save in that one? And I'm like, Ricky, get the hell out of here. You ever play that Wolfenstein? That's a good game. All right, sorry.
That's ridiculous.
I'm not sorry.
All right. Yeah. So, Vay would respond, would kind of go like, hey, like, I gotta say, we really appreciate your patronage that you've helped us out so far as landing back on our feet. But I gotta say, what you're asking for is sounding pretty impossible to me. And so, as much as we'd love to help you, I just don't think we have the right type of resources that we could to go and procure these types of things. White Crown? You want us to go and pull an artifact out of White Crown? That's crazy.
One of the women, like through her mask, you can tell she's just staring you down, and like you can feel it in her eyes because you got a pretty high study, I think. You got at least 1 pip in study.
I have some study, yeah. Do you want me to? Oh no.
No, I'm assuming you do. She thinks you're a coward. Like just the way she's looking at you. And you can tell, even though she's wearing a mask and you can't see her face.
You can smell it. You can smell it the way she's looking at you.
But she looks at you and she says, I apologize. Did we misspeak? Did I tell you to go and rob the Ministry of Preservation tomorrow? Or did we explain to you what we were looking for and what we were willing to pay for?
Albatross puts his hands on what's your character's name? Sorry, I'm not having trouble with it.
Vay.
Albatross puts his hand on Vay's shoulder and says, "With my services, I'm sure they can do the job right. Don't worry."
And the treasurer stands up and he kind of puts a hand on her shoulder. It calms her down because she seems to be like actually legit kind of mad at you, Vay. And he's like our colleague said, we are not expecting you to do this tomorrow or even within the next week. We will pay for anyone who can bring these objects. As for our hospitality, obviously we will be willing to extend favors to you where we can, but I'm hoping or assuming that you will find your own way to make money in this world, build your own resources. Hutchins said that Myra here was a skilled inventor and that she had skilled friends. I suggest you go find ways to use your skills.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm like, Vay's put in his place, so he's gonna shut up at this point. Feeling a little down on himself. I don't know if others have thoughts or
that's fair.
Other quips to add on.
Like these people are rude. Like they're being rude, and I'm sorry that I have to be rude to you to get that across.
It kind of hurts.
Jacob's gonna put his hand on Albert's shoulder and tell him, I think maybe you can all teach each other something. Something about skills, finding work, making money, making ends meet. And I'd be obliged if you were to come with us.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Were you saying that? Were you saying that to Albatross? Oh, you're saying that to Albatross. No, I thought you were saying that to I thought you were saying it to the one of the cult people. I was like, why are you talking to the cult?
No, I'm standing behind him now. I'm like, hey.
Yeah,
hey, buddy.
This is like a train of like
Vay
people's hands on shoulders.
Albatross has got his hand on Vay's shoulder,
Yeah.
and now Stormy has got his hand on Albatross's shoulder.
It's a whole lot of hand on shoulder. I think if I can make one suggestion is that we cut this whole segment out so that it's just everybody for the rest of this campaign. Just keep putting your hands on people's shoulders. It'll be fucking hilarious.
and the patrons are just staring at us as we're having this big friendship moment.
You say that Albatross is staring daggers at Jacob for even like touching him in general. He's just and you see like bloodshot red eyes, like his eyes are like, well actually his iris is his iris is like unnaturally red.
Well, I quite thank all of you for your time asking us out and even considering any of us for such a prestigious endeavor. We will definitely take it into consideration and have that on the back burners. As you said, we will find a way to make our proper name out in here, and we will, like I said, we will consider what you have told us, and we'll look into it.
Very well. And all but 2 of them stand up and leave.
Okay.
We
Do
have
the two that
easy-
remain, do they look confused? Are they like, wait, where are you guys going?
No, they don't. It was the guy who waved at you when they introduced the foundation. And one other person who did not speak during that exchange. And they the man who worked for the foundation, he takes off his mask. And you would recognize him. He's one of the professors at the Charter Hall Academy. He teaches civil engineering. Where I have it in the journal here, what's the name of the school? At the Sparkwright Tower. It's a school of research and development sponsored by rival factions, the Sparkwrights and the Foundation. An exceptionally dangerous place due to their constant work with electroplasmic energy and the massive turbines housed in the school. But they teach various kinds of engineering there, and he is one of the professors. And the other man takes off his mask, and you don't recognize him, but you don't recognize him, but he looks like, where the hell is he?
He takes off his mask. He's like, it's been me all along. It's like, I don't recognize you at all.
It looks like that, and you recognize, or you don't recognize him from the prison, because I did use that image during the prison, but this is that guy.
That guy. He looks like he is into black metal.
Yes, he's got a lot of occult tattoos on his face, and you can see on his hands as well, because he's not wearing gloves, but the rest of it is covered in robes. And he says, yes, if I could make a recommendation, if you have fervent believers, there is always money to be squeezed from Charter Hall. If you have a cause, find people and bring them to your side. I have found great profit this way. If you're looking for resources.
Thank you kindly for the. I went southern there for a second.
Thank you kindly.
Well, thank you kindly, sir.
My word.
I do declare, I believe I
I
have
do
the vapors. Colonel Angus. Colonel Angus. It's been so long since I've seen Colonel Angus. If I overstay my welcome, just tap me on the head, and I shall know. That's enough.
And yeah, like they'll listen. They're not rude. They're actually by far the politest people here. If you want to say anything else to them, feel free to. But
thank you for the advice.
no worries. They both bow. The foundation professor bows in the traditional Akarosi way. The other guy doesn't. It's like kind of like more of like a Severosi like full bow. Like he almost bends straight over at the hips, looking at the floor, and then back up. And they leave as well. They put their masks back on and they leave. They exit out like the rear, so they just kind of start walking down this like echoing corridor and disappear beyond the light.
So they're all gone now?
Yes.
Mari's gonna wait like a couple minutes, so just like not a couple minutes, but just like, okay, are they out of earshot? Oh my gosh, it is so annoying having to play up to rich people. I thought I was done with that after getting out of school, but here we are again.
Yes. And
I
with
believe
that, oh no, go ahead. Role play.
I believe this is part of why I've come here. This sounds like the things have been speaking to me. my dreams, my waking hours led me here to this point. I do believe we need to do this. And I don't think it's coincidence that you're here, my weird-handed friend.
I concur that we should do this.
All right. Let's rock and roll.
And with that, the four of you hold hands and skip down the narrow street that's not wide enough for the four of you. It's really awkward.
We each put a hand on each other's
It's sideways.
shoulders.
Um,
Go in a
2x2 skipping square.
And-
Actually,
and
no,
so
they're
at
just
this
holding a
hands
hand.
of crab.
No, they're just holding a hand. He detached it because he doesn't want them to hold his hand.
They come off?
Well,
What
he
the
holds his
fuck?
own hand.
Is he like a lizard? Do they regrow?
Sure.
got prosthetic arms.
Weird.
But
So weird.
yes, the four of you walk away normally and probably aren't holding hands because it's a very gritty game,
Yeah.
very serious all the time. But we will take our break here, ladies and gentlemen at home, and us players as well. And when we get back, we're gonna get into some free play. We're gonna find out what you guys want your next score to be. We're gonna find a way to make some money, take one of these items if that's what you want to do. Whatever you guys want to do, the world is your oyster. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back from our break. We're about to find out what the Soul Seekers are up to, what their next score is going to be. Before we do, I just want to put a call out to Spotify. I just want to say to the Spotify DJ, I don't appreciate the way that you threatened me this week.
What?
So I listen to a lot of very angry music because I'm just an angry young man, apparently. Even though I'm getting older every day and I'm not that young anymore, I'm an angry
Keeps on
young man.
happening.
And so what sometimes will happen is the Spotify DJ will be like, in its little nice voice, and it'll be like, hey Aaron, I got a bunch of songs I picked out just for you. And then it's like, hey bro, go fucking kill yourself. Track 2, I'm gonna fucking murder your family. Track 3, like, cause I listen to some fucked up shit. Like, and it's just like 6 songs in a row that, like, it, like, without context of, like, the AI didn't know what it was doing, just sounds like someone was like, hey, I picked these songs out for you, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Oh my god, dude.
It's not a promise.
Wow.
It's not a threat. That's a promise.
Exactly.
It's like like in basketball where he's like driving and he's listening to the radio. He's all like, look out, there's a truck changing lanes up ahead. You got some yellow crumbs on your upper lip. And he's like, what the fuck? Oh man.
Also, I'm drinking Innocent Gun, brought to you by Innocent Gun, a small brewery out in Scotland. Definitely not one of the largest breweries in the world. They should sponsor this podcast.
Tell him. Maybe they'll give us beer.
That's true. I reached out to Pepsi like legitimately twice, and Dr. Pepper will
tried
not
to-
sponsor us.
Yeah.
They wrote me back twice and said,
Oh.
like, we don't really do that.
Dude, that's better. I reached out to Founders Brewing, the good people at Founders Brewing who make great beer. Delicious beer. Delicious beer. Founders Brewing, check it out. They did not respond to me.
Rude. That's all right.
I was like, hey, can I advertise your beer? All you've got to do is say, yeah, sure, and that's it. And then they didn't respond. But it's
Dude.
great beer.
So you did it anyways. Now they're gonna
Yeah.
sue. Speaking of suing, this is the worst segue of all time. But how will you go about using your powers to sue the universe in Blades in the Dark?
What the hell of a
Actually
stretch.
segued it. I thought you were just gonna say something random. Good job.
No, I landed. It was a choppy landing, but you know.
That's
landing's
a
landing.
reach. You're
It's
that's a bold segue, my
You're-
friend.
years into
Listen,
the future.
A segue you could walk away from is a successful.
Yeah, I'll walk away from that segue right now.
It's like, how did you
All right,
fix
let's
the
go.
world through litigation?
Ugh.
Yes.
So we need to get work. We need to get money. We need to get the women, and then you get the I don't know. There's some sort of order of things, but I like this offertorium,
Yes.
which
Just
I
on
think
the
is going to
break
cost us.
there.
It's going to cost us money, right? Or how does that? What do we
No,
use
it's
to
a
acquire?
score. It's a
This
score.
Oh,
You
so
got to
that's
go
just a
take it
job
from
we
someone.
get then. Okay, I get
Yeah.
it.
Go,
Yeah.
go steal a church offer plate.
I should probably
Well,
look
there's
up what an offertory is.
probably. It sounds to me like it's a place that people go to pay money for us to not ghost them up. So maybe we expand from the library and also capture, check this out, the college bookstore.
The college bookstore?
Yeah, dude.
Not expanding out very far. Like
No,
attached.
that's the best part. is
12
it's
yards.
Really close by. Yeah, it's really close by.
Well, to be fair,
No, it's
there are
inconvenient. It's on the
no
opposite side of campus.
students at your school. But yeah, you could. I'm gonna say this: if you wanted to go get an offertory, one way to do it would be to desecrate another church's offertory as a vague threat to the people that would offer there, and say you need to offer at ours instead. That would be one way to claim turf.
Okay.
That sounds like an interesting occult approach to. I hadn't thought about desecration. I'm down for desecration. I feel like that would be a decent approach.
Desecrate some holy symbols, yeah.
Not
And so-
desecrated. Let's desecrate.
Maybe I should talk about some of the churches that you'll find in Duskfall, and specifically around Charter Hall and Six Towers.
Yeah, dude, let's do it. Do it up.
So the most popular church in Duskfall is the Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh, which is the closest thing you'll get to a state religion. It's the one that the Emperor wants you to follow. They absolutely abhor all of undeath. Spirits to them are unseemly and things that need to be banished and are not even to be used.
Okay.
But in exchange, they encourage you to participate in orgies and do drugs, as well as to commit acts of charity and just really
Okay. Orgies and
experience
charity.
all.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? You got to remember, like it's not the Catholic Church.
Well, clearly, it's
This ain't your mama's Catholic church.
it's
Yeah,
pronounced
it's-
semen. It's pronounced semen, not serpent.
Yeah, and obviously, like at higher levels, there's rumors that there's some weird stuff going on. It is still
Oh.
a cult.
Oh, at higher levels. Huh?
Yeah.
Not the ground
know.
level orgies. It's the higher level weird celibacy that you got to look out for.
Yeah, and so yeah, you guys who are maybe not practicing members of this church would know it as the orgy and drugs church. But there's also like a very large humanitarian aspect to the church.
It's so
And-
weird.
It
And-
balances them out. It sounds good.
Yeah.
And they also
Like,
like
look,
directly
you
with the
need,
emperor.
you need to bone
himself.
all these people for charity.
Yes.
Do this coke for
Exactly.
charity.
And then there's
Oh,
also
shit.
the Church of the Weeping Lady,
That
which
sounds creepier.
yes, they
La Llorona.
worship a deity who they believe is encapsulated inside of a statue inside the church, and they're actually in Six Towers. And
So that statue is close by. We can go see it.
yeah, you can go see it.
Let's
You should
desecrate
know
that one.
that they are healers. They offer to heal diseases and injuries and things like that of the poor, and that they are an all-female group. You cannot join if you're a male.
Okay. Well, I wasn't trying to join, but
No.
so they're like nice guys with a easily pushed around nice guys, huh?
I don't know
Well,
if you'd say they're easy to push around, mind you, if they are worshiping a possible god.
Well, they're worshiping a statue. They think there's
And-
someone inside. I'll tell you right now, there's not. You can't be alive inside the statue. You need to be able to eat.
That's fair. Unless you're like an Eldritch Horror. In which case you maybe don't
I
eat.
don't know anything about that. And they probably need to poop. And like that's gotta go somewhere. If you're trapped inside a statue, where's that going? I gotta tell you, get backed up like that, you're gonna
It's like
die.
a human centipede. They're fine. They human centipede themselves inside
They're
the
not
statue.
fine. They are
Um,
not fine.
we also
Have you seen how that
um,
movie ends? It doesn't end well. They're not happy.
That's fair. Throughout the city, there are a collection of various small cults to various forgotten gods. And so, like, a lot of them just kind of worship, like, either an old god or a new god that may or may not even actually exist, but they do that. There's, like, a ton of them. There's also the Path of Echoes, you guys would be familiar with. They're less of a church and more of a movement, but they have a very religious aspect to it. They worship death, and they seek it, and they seek to bring it to others. That's kind of like what their whole thing is. It's like if everyone was a
Okay.
ghost, the world would be a better place. That's what you know about them. Now, if you started attending sermons, I would give you better information because, like, this is like what people on the street say about them, right? Because
Yeah.
there has to be a reason someone would actually agree to like hang out with these guys. So they probably say something more sensical than that. But who knows? What else do we got? I think for the most part that's it. Really quick, I think there was one that was specifically mentioned in Charter Hall. Oh, actually, Forgotten Gods is actually a church. I'm sorry. I read
But
that
it's
wrong.
like a specific church. That's like the name of the church.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Alright.
called the Cult of the Forgotten Gods, and they worship the old gods.
Okay.
Um,
How old? Real old?
like prior to the Cataclysm.
Okay.
So they're reading like ancient texts that were written before the world ended.
I want those texts. I mean, my character wouldn't care about those texts. I'm interested in those texts.
I think we should keep them as friends, but like if we want to mess with like Echoes because fuck those guys or the flesh.
Just remember that a score does not necessarily mean you show up and shoot everyone in the face.
Yeah.
A score could be a really
Just if you're
intense
going to them orgies.
negotiation. But yeah, like that those are just the kinds of churches, like a little bit about religion in this world. There's more because, like I said, there are just also very small cults that worship like random fucking gods. Like they might have like a pile of flesh on an altar that they all just stab themselves and bleed on. Like there's some weird shit happening here, and a lot of it
I don't want
isn't
their
ours.
money. Their money sounds real gross. Yeah, so I think whichever one's closest in proximity would be best due to, you know, it being easier to manage, logistically speaking, of course. However, out of all those things, I think either the drugs and orgy church might that probably makes some good money, so maybe we can extort some money from them, or the easily pushed around healer types. I feel like the death cult probably isn't going to be a good option for raking in the dough.
Fair.
You also
I
have
really
a
don't
-2
wanna-
status with them, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not a church, but the Dimmer Sisters are around. No one's ever seen the actual Dimmer Sisters, but they just kind of do occult stuff. Just so
well,
that you know.
I vote one of the first two things that were listed, either the La Llorona or the orgy drug charities.
The Weeping Lady, the Church of the Weeping Lady, was the one that you were thinking of, I think.
La Llorona.
Yes.
I mean, that's a pretty accurate description.
How much risk would we have going like the Weeping Lady is in Six Towers, which is where our lair is, and so I feel like it's good that it's in the same zone as our lair, but I also feel like it's bad to do a score in the district that we're in, right? Like that's the whole like I feel like that was covered in one of the previous sessions.
It's not necessarily bad. I'll just say that that's you're talking about acquiring turf, which more or less will probably happen where your lair is, because you don't want to be too spread out throughout the city. That's like the other concern there. Versus like if you're, but like yeah, it will draw attention on you within your own thing. I will say that Weeping Lady is in 6 towers, and they also have like a bunch of like pop-up churches that they do kind of in Dunslow. Every single district in the city has a Church of Ecstasy of the Flesh church in it. And to put that into perspective, they are a tier 4 faction, which is the second highest level of faction in the game.
Okay, what about let's go with the crying ghost statue.
Okay.
It weeps blood and heals the sick. That sounds good.
Okay.
People probably pay money to that.
So the 4 of you are probably back at the thing you're talking about, like what are our next moves? And it's like, okay, well like maybe we do need to pick off these weak ladies. Who cares about these weak ladies? Jacob keeps saying that.
That's not what I'm saying.
And Albatross would also
I'm a weak
immediately.
lady and I need the money.
Albatross would also discourage attacking the Church of the Flesh. He definitely doesn't. It would be no good for anybody. To have that much heat from the Empire on you. Because I'm sure if you attack the Church, the Empire will come for you too.
Yeah.
We need a way to make some money. If we've got these objectives and they require specialized equipment or maybe a little grease into the wheels, we need to have funds. Somebody could make money for us. Would be best. Some kind of passive income. Now I know the joy of a hard day's work. Making your way, making your money, doing it the hard way. I've done that my whole life. But having a secondary revenue stream, now that's planning for the future. Future I hope to see. Y'all ever sell cosmetics?
Dude, you trying to bring us around to selling Avon or some shit? It's
Now, if you
have
look
a
at this
business
diagram,
opportunity.
it's a triangle, not a pyramid. Very important distinction. But I think I've heard tell of local place where man can get healed after a bit of a rough encounter at the ports. Make good coin. Maybe we siphon some of that off. Pump it out like a bilge filled with black water.
So I'll just ask the question. As players, are we interested in this score?
Yes, I am. Clearly.
I think there's a little bit of a moral quandary, you know, the
Yes.
the
Step back from Ethan. I know
Absolutely.
Ethan's a good guy. Is Vey a good guy?
Yeah, I immediately was like, I don't want to, like, these are nice people. I'm like, let's go after it. Well, we can't make money off of the ghost fucking murder people. Like, let's just get the weird orgy charity. And, but I don't want to fuck with the orgy charity.
they're the strong ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's money. So yeah, they would be good with doing it as much as I won't.
That's
My
fair.
concern is more of the public image that they will get, like that our crew will now have, because we know just on the top of the ladies they heal people, so like if they're like going around healing people, that's like what did What do we? Are we cool with that? Are we cool with saying we're gonna punch a nurse in the face?
They're not nurses, they're cultists.
I
Well-
don't think it's us going in and destroying
gonna
their thing.
destroy it.
Well,
I know
it's more of like making it less
conversation.
effective and then convincing people that there's an alternative, and then
Yeah.
providing this alternative that is able to give us money.
Okay.
So one thing that I will say is there's exactly 8 ways to skin a cat.
Listen.
I know all of them.
Well, and that's kind of the approach, right? There is a social approach to getting that money, right?
Yeah.
You offer something to them, and maybe that's the score. There's a deceptive approach. You lie to them in order to get that money, and you're embezzling funds. There's you show up and kick the shit out of them, and they give you money. Like, you could do that too. There's an occult approach.
That's the one I want.
There is an occult approach, and that can look like all sorts of ways. It can be you come in and desecrate the thing, and you kind of let it be known to the people that they shouldn't be paying that church, they should be paying yours. And
I believe
maybe
I could talk to the ghost inside of that statue, convince it to send its what do you call those guys? Congregation. Send them over our way. Make some charitable donations to the reconstruction of the old school.
And because we don't want to plan we never actually plan heists in this game. We just do heists and hope it works out. That's by the rules. That's how we do it here. Would you like to gather some information about the church?
Yes.
Might be a
Yes.
place to
How
start.
about yes?
If they're gonna be doing that, unbeknownst to them, one,
Oh boy.
Albatross really hopes that they're gonna be able to pay off his bill too, in addition to what they already have to pay off as it is. They've now hired him, and he's just like, oh, I really, really hope these guys could pay me off. But he would be surveying the church to see if there would be any kind of weaknesses that he can exploit in case things go awry.
Okay. So if you open up your character sheet there, I believe, actually, sorry, it doesn't say it there. It'll say it on the actual sheet, but not on Foundry, unfortunately. I might have to make a gather information page in the journal, and I just haven't yet. But if
What do they want most? What should I look out for? That one?
yeah, exactly. The list of gather information questions. Because that's kind of a good launching off point for the kind of questions you might want to ask as a scoundrel. Because I think you're a nice guy, Dio. I doubt you're a scoundrel in real life. So you may not know the kinds of questions to ask.
Where's the money? Where's the trigger?
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it, and I'm just gonna Google it because that seems to be faster. Okay. And then so I can read it. Okay. So gather information on the hound sheet. It says, what did they intend to do? Okay, never mind. It blocked me away from that because I
Okay.
yeah, there's
I'm
a
looking
list
at it
of
here.
questions
So
there.
it's,
Yeah.
What do they intend to do? How can I get them to X? What are they really feeling? What are they? Where are they vulnerable? Where did X go? How can I find X? And what's really going on here? Okay. So this is just kind of like the general group of questions that I would have available to myself.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like, you can ask other questions than that, and like you can get other information from that. Like, it's just that's kind of a launching off point. Also, during the score, you can again do a flashback to have gotten information, and that's generally a 0 cost flashback, like to get lore information, right? Like just like right now we're learning about the Church of the Weeping Lady, and so you maybe are going there to see like, okay, well, if we're gonna rob these people or do whatever they're planning on doing, are they a threat? And so how do you approach doing that?
In his full what I would consider to be his Sunday best, he would go to the church itself and plan on providing a donation, just kind of like a penny for him to give to them in a sense. And as he would get there, he would observe essentially like how is their what is like a for them, is it like a holy place that they have where they have offerings for you to donate, or is it like how is it best described?
Okay, so I'll give you this information for free, and then I'll get you to roll something. So for free, because you went in and gave them a donation, you see that outside they have I don't know if you've ever been to an Irish wedding, but they have professional wailers. Is a job you can get in Ireland. And it's they're women that you hire to stand outside of a church and cry. And they're like actors, like they just cry and wail, like effectively, in mourning.
I thought you were talking whales, like
like
she
whalers.
blows.
Yeah, that's. I was thinking I was getting some Captain Ahab action going on.
No. So you approach the church,
wailing
and
whaler.
there are 2 women outside, and they are wailing. They bow to you as you enter. You walk inside, and this is not a large church. It's not a large building. But you walk, and there's about 4 pews, 2 on each side. There's like a worn out purple carpet that kind of rolls out to this statue of a woman. The statue is of a woman weeping, and she's got like these giant angel wings behind her. You see that there are also like sick beds where there would have been more pews. So there's room for more pews, but there's not. There's just a bunch of sick beds. And you see probably about 6 or 7 of these women. They're kind of dressed like the Bene Gesserit, so they wear veils and all black, and they kind of walk around with steepled hands, and then they kneel down beside the sick beds and they tend to the wounds. They treat diseases. They do so in like very archaic ways, even amongst like physicers in Duskfall. So they still do practices such as bloodletting, and they are very heavy on the leeches. They'll literally suck out poisons from people's bodies with their mouths, and then they spit them into jars. Yeah, like you have been around, you've probably gone to see a physiker, which is a doctor in this world at some point. They would not approve of the way that they do medicine here, but they do it for free. And they do it.
I'm sorry, I got that poison in me, and I'm gonna,
That's
for free.
fair. I mean, I'm sure they get that sometimes. What I'll have you do to learn more information than that, because really, like, you just see a room with some sick beds. There's probably about like 8 people here that are sick. There's about 7 of these nurses around. There's a woman standing at the statue, and she's like, she's also dressed in all black, but she's also wrapped up in belts, like head to toe. Like you can't see her face or like even what her figure would look like. It's just all like these black belts. And she's just kneeling and looking out at the rest of you.
Like a goth dominatrix?
No, more like a gimp covered in belts. But
Okay.
yeah.
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 Mhm.
It's not sexual in any way. Like she's fully clothed,
It,
but
isn't it though? All right, so
no. Nope.
no.
She
Oh,
just
okay.
is.
Excuse me, I was wrong.
That's what she
I've
looks
misread
like.
this whole thing. I thought this is not the orgy church. Excuse me.
This
I've
is
got it
not
wrong.
the orgy church. This is not.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
orgy
no, I
church.
know. All right, all right.
If
And
it's-
Let's try to get
so
back into character here.
yeah, I'm gonna make you do an action roll to see if you learn more information than that. And so when we do action rolls, Dio, because this is your first time, rolling one. You always tell me what you're rolling, and I'll set the risk and the effect. And unlike the first time I gathered information, this can become risky or desperate depending on what you're doing. Just gonna throw that out there. I probably won't put harm on you, but it will impact the score.
I'm trying to see whether or not I want to do survey or study. So when you survey, you observe the situation and anticipate outcomes. You might spot telltale signs of trouble before it happens. You might uncover opportunities or weaknesses, and you might detect a motivation or intention. Versus study would be scrutinize details and interpret evidence. You might gather information from documents, newspapers, and books. I don't think study would be what he would do. I think survey would definitely be kind of looking for any way of just kind of maneuvering within this building or trying to see kind of like the
Yeah, absolutely. I get what you're going for there. So yeah, why don't you make a study roll? It's gonna be standard effect, controlled. You are in there for legitimate purposes as far as they're concerned. They might feel like it's weird if you roll poorly enough, but they're not gonna like freak out and shoot you or something. But yeah, go ahead and make your study roll. So controlled for standard effect. You got a partial success, which means I'll give you one piece of information there. You do see at some point that the whalers that were out front are replaced. Like you just are kind of around long enough and no one seems to be bothering you, and they don't ask you to leave. You see the whalers at the front, they come inside, two more go outside, and they move behind the statue and they don't come back out. And you think that there might be more going on down underneath, like there might be a basement or something. But you didn't see where they went. They kind of just went behind the statue and like disappeared. And there wasn't any noise with it.
Okay.
If you start going over there, the woman in the belts will actually I'll just ask, do you go over there and try and investigate further?
Absolutely not.
Fair enough. Yeah, you see the woman in the belts kind of catches you looking, and she moves for the first time since you got there. And it's just creepy enough that you think twice about going back. And yeah, and with that we'll move on to our next player and see what kind of information they want to gather.
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Adam.
well, I can talk to ghosts. I got that thing again. The
That
attunement, attune ability.
You're
So
probably better at it than Lutz is.
no, exactly as great, too. Both of them have 2. So,
Oh.
Yeah, let's try that. I'm gonna try to talk to ghosts, I suppose. Let me see what I can do with this attune thing here. Perceive beyond sight. Am I able to like scan the statue to see if it's actually got ghosty stuff going on with it?
Are you doing this in the church or outside the church?
Is that something I would be able to do from inside the church?
It will be noticeable, I think. It's not quite as rough as astral projection in like Shadowrun, for instance, where you're gonna fall to the ground and you have to make it back to your body. But you are performing some kind of like even brief arcane ritual that they might recognize.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'd say like you probably want to do this from outside. the church, just so that you're not noticed. But maybe even if you just kind of go and like put your back against the wall, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I'll do that then. So I want Storm. He's gonna go in, and he's gonna walk in. He's got he's got his boots on, and they got for whatever reason they got those spurs on him. I don't know why. He's on a boat normally, but he's got spurs, so it makes a little jingle jangle as he walks in. He gets in and he crosses his arms, leans back against the wall, surveys the area, not using the survey skill, and then he tunes, takes it all in. He kind of gives a nod to somebody that looks at him, and then he does the thing where he opens his third eye. Oh.
You open your third eye and you make an attune roll. You said you went inside the church, right?
Yeah.
For reasons I'm not going to explain right now.
That's good.
It is risky.
Okay.
For standard effect. You're going to do the thing you want to do if you succeed. I'll offer you a devil's bargain.
What does that mean?
I'll give you an additional die. But something will notice that you're doing this.
Ooh.
Ooh, something will notice that I'm doing this.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go. That sounds interesting. Here we go.
All right.
Let's dance with the devil in the pale moonlight. I got a 6.
There we go. You got a 6, so you succeed. Yeah, you managed to kind of, you look, unlike Ludes, who maybe walks into the ghost field and like that's how he interacts with it, you don't go in, but you can see it. It's like overlaid on top of the real world.
It comes like waves, crashing waves.
Yes. And
they
so
break
you look
upon me as if I were rocks at the shore.
And you see like just behind the statue there is like a set of it's not like a trap door per se. It's a mechanism that like the you can just see like the cogs of this mechanism, and you don't sure like at this point in time from where you're standing exactly how it works, but it seems that it opens a door that leads to a set of stairs, because when you looked at it before it was just floor.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can see the stairs. You can see that the basement is larger than the upstairs. You can see that there are spirits here. There seems to be like a wall full of spirits. And you don't see the jars that they're in with your vision right now, but you see that they're there, and you assume that they would be in something called a spirit jar.
Okay.
You see that 3 of the nurses are possessed.
Okay.
And when you look at the statue looks back.
Okay.
Only in the ghost field. Like it did, like the stone doesn't physically move, but there's a creature
Sure.
inside the statue and it looks at you.
Okay. That's unsettling. All right.
Yeah, and maybe that's enough to like kind of scare you out of it, and you lose concentration. And nobody seems to react at all to what you did, and you manage to continue about your day unaccosted.
Tip the hat and say, lady.
Yeah.
Head up.
Yeah, and so the way that worked, I know that sounds like a lot of information. I'm mostly just building off of other information that you would have gotten from Albatross too. You knew to look for the stairs because you probably talked.
Sure.
So I'm just adding to that.
Yeah, cool.
So Dio doesn't feel ripped off. Then we got Vay and we got Myri. Which one of you is going next?
Feel free if you have an idea. I am still processing that data and trying to think about other ways of.
Well, I already have an idea of something. I'm just trying to think of what will be it with like a floor plan help, or like being able to know their schedule. Like,
Well, so a floor plan is a loadout item,
okay.
right? And I think Ethan would have access to documents like that as part of his loadout
I
as a
do.
spider. So like
Oh,
that's
cool.
something where it's like, yeah, like that's not something you would have to get as part of like a gather information role. This is to learn
Okay.
about what your threats are, like what to expect, what to prepare ahead of time, right? Like I did give you a little bit of layout of the building because it shouldn't be like a total mystery, but
Mhm. I guess wanting just to know their schedule, so we know when's a good time to go in.
absolutely. So if you look at the abilities there, how are you planning to do it? Like, where are you going to be when you do this? And and what would you like to roll?
Albatross would also have given the details of the change in whalers as well.
Yeah, so we know that, but I want to know, like, when they have service, when are there people in the building? And assume.
What are their hours of operation?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hours
So
of
maybe
operation.
you spend a couple days, like, kind of milling around. Not all day, obviously, like, but like you between the 2 days, you do spend like all of 24 hours outside, just to see what happens. They have 2 services a day during the dimmer sister hours. So that's the brief period of sunlight first thing in the morning, and that brief period of sunlight right before the evening. And the rest of the day is obviously night. But morning and evening they have one. They have a service. It's not a large service. A lot of the people that come bring food. It almost seems to be like a homeless shelter in some ways. But they don't live there.
Oh,
But
God,
people
we're
will
rough in a
bring what they
homeless
can, and they
shelter.
they share. That being said, you do see that the whalers are there all day and all night, and they look like the same person, but you, like Albatross, see that they do change periodically. Like they work 6-hour shifts and then they go inside.
Are these guys like the equivalent to like those people that stand outside spinning around the sign? They're like, "Come check out the crying ladies. Here's a couple of them right now."
I don't. Yeah, kind of, except that they just kind of stand there and cry.
They're like the equivalent of like handing out flyers outside, except they're just crying. They're like the wacky arm flailing inflatable tube men of crying healers.
That's fair. I mean, it is a real Irish tradition. Like, just so you know, like that's like a real thing.
Oh,
that people
sure,
do.
yeah, but like these
Um,
people aren't Irish; they're fictional.
they are fictional, and so yes, they are wacky, wavy, inflatable arm tube men.
Okay.
Any information beyond that, I'm gonna need a roll from you there, Myri.
I do study.
You can do study. Give me a study roll. I'm gonna say that it's controlled. Are you going in the church?
I guess I'd. I don't see what's. See, I want to say I don't see anything wrong with it, but I don't know if I want everyone to be showing their face that they're. Or maybe
That's
kind of
like that's actually why I'm asking. I'll just straight up say if you go inside the church, I'm moving it from controlled to risky because at this point now,
Yeah.
like three strangers have come in the church, hung out, not said anything, and then left.
Hey, I
Yeah.
said something. I said the word lady.
I didn't really want to go in. I wanted to kind of like.
But
study,
maybe-
like, ask around.
Well, I also just realized you are the only woman of the
I am the
party,
only woman.
and so there could maybe like I'm like, oh wait a minute, but I don't know if that totally changes things.
Yeah.
that would probably turn more into a consort kind of thing, and I don't really have pips in that. And you know how my roles are.
That's fair.
If you don't want to go inside and you want to learn more information, I'd allow you to move that study to see if there's maybe other entrances or weaknesses and things like that. Like I think that's one of the questions is like where are they weakest?
Okay.
in terms of infiltration, if that's something you're looking for. In which case, yeah, you can go ahead and roll that, and it's again controlled for standard effect.
Okay.
All right, so that's a
4.
partial success. So on that, you're gonna get a little bit of information, but not a lot of information. There are windows. There are large stained glass windows. There's also just regular shutter windows. So not glass, but like there's a wooden shutter.
Okay.
They're above like what you could reach by yourself, but if you could probably boost someone up to get in there. Or get a ladder or something. Like it's like 9 feet in the air as opposed to like at height, at like your height. But you would think that they would be probably easy to open. You also get the sense that there's, in the very, very, very late nights, probably about 5 hours before the morning dim, it is quiet. It's quieter here. So there's less movement going on inside. People probably are sleeping. You've probably spoken to Albatross and Jacob, and they've like talked about the sick beds and like how those people need bed rest, and so like they can't be hovering around them all day. So, that's kind of the information you get there. And what about Vey? Is there any? And by the way, you can say no. Like you can be like, I actually don't. I think we have all the information we need, and we're ready to do the next bit. But Vey, is there anything you'd like to learn about these people?
Yeah. So I guess on my side, I want to kind of understand because you had mentioned. Well, actually, no. Maybe it was the other one. It was actually Say Flesh, but in my head, I thought you had mentioned something about like other pop-up churches or other areas like that. Is that also the case for the Weeping Lady? Is this like?
Yes.
Okay, so there are other areas that have been established then, and like are also, like, do they also have statues there? Like, I guess that's kind of the.
You have lived in Duskwall for a while. Church of the Weeping Lady will show up at the Skovelander refugee camp in Coleridge sometimes to help them out. And they will also go to Dunslow occasionally and to help the people in Dunslow out. And when they do, they bring like a literal tent. And they don't take the statue with them. No. But there are times where they move kind of like in Exodus to areas that need their help.
Interesting. Okay.
You would know that for free. If you want to know if something like that is going on, I would need a roll. And
yeah. Gosh, how would the situation into that? Yeah, like they have like community type events. So in my head, it's they going and finding some opportunity to consort with people, right, in order to better understand. Yeah, so maybe it doesn't have to be strictly tied into the Weeping Lady, but is something of
maybe you're bumming around town and trying to see if there's anything been going on. You head to Coleridge, and you go to the Skovelander refugee camp, and you start milling around there and seeing if anything's been going on, because it's not like they do these community events like because like they're feeling nice. It like that usually happens because like a lot of people got sick or there was like a battle and people got injured.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's happening for a reason. That they move out. It's not like just like every Friday they go out and do like a community event.
Okay.
So you could ask around there. You could ask around the docks. You know, there's a war going on the docks between the dockers and the Leviathan hunters. It's all over the news.
It was in that newspaper, yeah. All right, cool. Am I able to consort then in order to, I don't know,
Yes.
understand where those two conflicting parties are at the moment, as far as, really trying to understand where the needle will drop. There's an expression there somewhere.
There's an expression there somewhere. Roll your consort. I'm gonna say it's controlled. For standard effect, yeah.
Partial success.
Okay. You know that a lot of the dockers are injured, and that the Leviathan hunters are actively trying to keep the ladies out. And so you actually see Leviathan hunters kind of guarding bridges. Like, you come in from Brightstone actually to move to a tavern that you know kind of on the outskirts of the docks. And yeah, they are actively stopping anyone who seems to be sympathetic or trying to help the dockers. And they're patting people down, and they're checking goods that move in and out of the docks. Because you learn just that the dockers are doing surprisingly well. And the Leviathan hunters have lost a ship because of it. One of their ships was burnt down. It just and 2 Leviathan hunters have died in the last week.
Okay, so the Leviathan hunters are on the dumps and injured, and the dockers are on bridges.
You also know that the Leviathan hunters, there's a lot of them. They're very powerful. And that really I think that you probably would assume that the Leviathan hunters are just trying not to massacre them. So they're just at this point kind of playing a defensive game while the union negotiations happen or something. But yeah, it's just one of those things where the dockers are surprisingly kind of holding their own in the conflicts that are actually happening. But because of that, goods and services that would be rendered to the dockers are being held up right now. Does that mean that the score then becomes try to get the Weeping Ladies in? That could be a thing. Because they do want to go there.
Oh, cool.
I'm against it.
Yes, as a Leviathan hunter, let the dockers die.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck them.
Figured there'd be some internal struggle there. But also an in, whether or not we're trying to flip things around. So, yeah, I guess that is the round of information. What do we think, crew?
Yeah, so you guys meet up. You guys have met up off and on over the last few days. Let's say it's been 2 nights since your meeting with the Circle of Flames, and you guys have started investigating these people. Yeah, I think at this point we won't get to the score today, but we can settle on an approach. I think is a good place to start. Planning.
Can we discuss? There's ghosts inside of that church.
Hear me out. What if we make it so there's no ghosts inside?
Now that may be exactly what I was thinking.
Mm.
I know just the way to do it.
And would that way be exactly how we got ourselves here in the first place?
Exactly the opposite.
I have
I
no
say
idea.
about the
exactly
same
is it?
manner, but it'd be the opposite results.
Okay.
I
So
got
it's-
this here. And he pulls out a thing and it whoosh, whips out and he just starts crackling with energy.
You can't just
This is
whip it
kind
out
of
like
a-
that.
I whipped it right out in front of everybody in the library like I do. That's why I'm not allowed in the library.
Public indecency.
Oh, it's not public, baby. It's very private. But he whips out this thing and it like an extendable like staff and it's got like a lasso of copper wire at the end, crackling energy.
Oh.
I happen to know how to wrangle ghosts. Trap them in these here bottles. And I tap on. I've got some bottles. They jingle jangle at my belt. Cram them in the
It's
bottles.
just like staring at it with sparkly eyes, like, oh, science.
Any ghosts inside of those sparkly bottles?
Not quite yet. That's what they're for, though. I go in there, wrangle some ghosts, put them in these here bottles, take them on out. They want to see these ghosts again, they'll have to pay. And that, it's okay by me.
Well, as long as it works.
Okay. So it sounds like we're taking an occult. And the detail, the arcane method is that you're gonna capture and I guess you're kidnapping the spirits.
Capture
Ghost snap.
some, and then I can do Ghost Ward again, but I can create an anathema or entice. So I can repel ghosts, or I can attract them. This time I would
Ooh!
repel them.
Well, there's like a weird ghost wall down there.
Yeah, you're saying, oh, there's so many ghosts. It's like, hey, y'all like ghosts. How about I say, no, you have no ghosts no more.
I bet those ghosts are sucking the poison out of those victims. Somehow. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I'm like they're possessing they're being possessed and then they're healing regular people. So can't quite pin out what the ill intent is in this situation.
I believe the
Gotta
ill
be
intent is
evil.
we're gonna extort money from them. It's us.
We're the evil.
Look, we're not bad. We need money, and you got to get it somewhere.
I think you have enough
Is it evil when the
information-
lion eats? No.
I think you have enough information between you, and just about them in general. They're very likely the reason why they're allowing themselves to be possessed by ghosts is that they're willingly letting themselves be possessed by ghosts because they're not as good as healers as these matriarchs that used to work at the church. And so they die and then they keep training people by possessing them and showing them how to be healers. That's
Corporate America wishes they could.
yeah, so that's just that's probably what is going on there. And so that actually wouldn't be a bad approach, I don't think, is taking away their leaders. Yeah,
Snatch them up. Snatch them up in this here bottle. Clang, clang.
or make it so they can't go into the church.
You can do a little
Drag
both.
them out. Lock it down.
Grab a couple, be like,
desecrate
hey,
the church.
don't come back. Desecrate. Say, here's your guy. Don't come back. Your guy again.
Well,
All right.
if we desecrated the church, we could create another area that they could be doing that their healings in, maybe where we're the landlords.
There you go. That's why you're the teacher.
So when we choose the detail, we provide a missing detail. In this case, what is the arcane method? Sounds like we're using Ghost Ward and just the ability to capture spirits, like some combination of that. I Actually, yeah, I guess is the plan to desecrate the church and make it so that it's unusable by the spirits that live there? And
My
then
thought is,
That's what I was thinking.
yeah, we could do that and either have them relocate as like a wholly owned subsidiary of Soul Seeker Incorporated, or basically like go look. We booted you guys out of your place. If you want to go back to work, you're gonna have to pay us. Otherwise, we're gonna come back through and do it again.
I'm fine with either of those, but it sounds like it's the same method either way, and that would just be a conversation with them after the score is complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you prove you can do it.
And if we capture them, there could very well be a conversation at the end of like, oh, we knew someone was going to do this, so we went in to save you, in a very obstruct way.
You can lie to them too. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. It's just a little bit of extra insult on the end. By the way, you're ugly.
All right. So at this point in time, we want to think about where you guys are planning on being, what your roles individually are in the score, right? So we obviously, we know that Myri and Jacob seem to be like they're going to need to get into the church. That's their plan. What is Bay and Albatross doing to contribute to this plan? What's their role? And what that's going to matter is because you're picking your item loadouts. And so like, are you planning on hanging back and providing cover? Are you going to be somewhere else in the city causing something else that's going to be a distraction? And that might change what you're doing. Because I'll say this, I actually think the one of the cooler ways this could go down, and you don't have to do it this way at all, but what I kind of thought is that maybe Vey sneaks the like makes a meeting between the Dockers Guild and the ladies of the Weeping, or the Weeping Ladies, and helps them get across the bridge past the Leviathan Hunters, so that they're not at the church when you guys go and do all this stuff.
Ooh.
That's enough to get him out of it.
So like Vey's contribution is he's not at the church at all. He's off spidering to basically like assist the Dockers in their side of the war and get their sick healed.
I love it.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you right now, like this is a tier 2 faction, and you are a tier 0 faction, and that will come into play.
So anything we could do to disadvantage is helpful.
Yes. Yeah. And then Albatross, like you kind of have your choice there. If you want to be helping Vey and kind of protecting him and the ladies, or if you want to be part of this break-in, because there's gonna probably be trouble on both ends. Thanks. Also, don't forget that you have a guy who kind of looks vaguely like Danny DeVito / Martin Scorsese that you can boss around.
I on that note, I bought a pack of Danny DeVito stickers, and I've been sticking them all over the shop at work in like weird places, like inside of dudes' cabinets and like by the underneath the pedal on the forklift and like all sorts of weird places. And my boss got me doing. He's like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Putting Danny DeVito stickers all over the place." And he's like, "That's fucking weird." He's like, "Where did you get so many Danny DeVito stickers?" I'm like, "I don't know, internet."
Where else?
Dude, yeah, and he just laughed, shook his head, and walked away. And I'm like, that counts as consent in my opinion. I'm gonna get back to it. So there's Danny DeVito stickers fucking everywhere at the shop.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at both situations, and I think the one with the docks would probably be the best place for Albatross to be, because I guess it just seems like the smarter of the two plans, and he wouldn't know how to assist with the whole situation of the ghosts. If that does go haywire, he'd rather not be in a public place. And what he would do to help, I have some trouble remembering all these, but
Well, that part of it, like more or less, I want to know where you are. The part that, like how you help, like that's gonna also depend a bit on the engagement role, how things are going, and things like that. So don't worry too much about specifically what you're doing. It's just more like if you're gonna split up like this, I need to know who's where. That's all.
Yeah, like a 2-2 or a 1-3 type of deal. Which
Yeah.
I mean, I can see the docs lining up, especially like you are a sharpshooter, and so having someone else there, kind of talking negotiations and bridge chats.
Making distractions. Who knows what's going on over there? Item loadouts. So you guys need to pick now. Like right now, we're the score is about to begin. You guys already made your plans. Your characters made the plans, so don't worry about you don't know what the plan is. But you do need to pick a light, medium, or heavy load. We didn't do this on the first score, and that's because I just more or less we were rolling that you guys had a light load because you were in prison and you didn't have like pockets. So where are you going to hide a gun?
Jail, other than the one.
And so if you click on the little backpack on the side, you can pick light, normal, or heavy. And I'm changing Bay's character sheet without his permission there. I put it back while I'm doing that. But and what that does is a light load. You get to carry up to 3 pips of anything that you want. And you don't pick what that is until you need it in the moment. But with a light load, people short of like someone actively patting you down or like you've blown your cover already and they're searching you, they're not going to notice you have stuff on you. Whereas a medium load, at a distance, you might not get noticed, but anyone who's like even passingly scrutinizing you will notice that you have like a lot of stuff on you, and that's suspicious. And then a heavy load is like you show up and you have like a gun and you look like you're about to fuck up their day.
All right.
And so it's going to change how NPCs react to your presence during this score.
Well, I know. So for Vey, because he's going to be dealing with the bridges, and there's already kind of a high alertness there. He's definitely going to be on a light load.
That's fair. What about Myri and Jacob? What do you guys going in like full tilt? Like once you go in, you're shock troopering it to get to your occult target, or are you going in like trying to play it cool as long as you can?
I mean, I think as soon as they see we're there, I think we're kind of screwed. So I was thinking normal would be fine.
I also was planning on going with a normal load or medium or whatever you. Is it normal or medium?
I guess it's normal.
That's my expectation.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense too. And then Albatross, you kind of get the best of both worlds because you're a long range, like you're a hound. I know that we haven't said that on the show yet, but you're a hound. You have a rifle. Your special ability is that you can shoot even further away than average people. You could probably go heavy or medium and maybe cover from a distance if that's what you want to do.
That was actually the plan. Albatross would go with a heavy load, and he would be in the rooftops, scoping out and making sure that no trouble reaches them from afar.
Okay. All right. So we kind of have our setup. We're gonna make our engagement roll here, guys, and then we're probably gonna end it. So the engagement roll. Is this operation particularly bold or daring, or is it contingent and overly complex? Is it contingent on many factors and overly complex? I say it's bold and daring. I like you guys. I like this plan. get an extra die for that.
Nice.
Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? You tell me. Do you guys think it does?
Targeting their ghosts that they like so much, so that we know that they're hiding ghosts and. Where their
I
ghosts are,
think
that they're,
so,
like-
but I could be wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, like to me, this feels like it's very much there's a distract, and we're kind of like stabbing the belly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think the combination of having like the social aspect of this is their weakest, and so I will give you the dice for that. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? Yeah, I'm gonna give you a minus D for that. That's a flat. These people are occult specialists, and there is like a weird entity that exists on there that might cause issues. Can any friends or contacts provide aid or insight into this operation? Do you guys have any friends or contacts that you think that you might pull out during the score?
I've got a spirit trafficker named Flint that's my pal. Maybe Flint has some sort of insights that could help us out.
Yeah. I can say that for sure. So basically how that would work is like if you ever finding you're like in a situation where like you don't know what to do, you can ask your buddy Flint in a flashback, and then we can have that
Gotcha.
conversation.
Cool.
So yeah, take a plus D. But yeah, you guys can totally do that, by the way. If the first time we meet an NPC happens to be in the middle of a score through a flashback, that's just the way it goes down.
Cool.
Love
it.
Yep, go ahead.
I mean, in this case, I would have to speak to mine because I have to get my equipment ready. That would be
Okay.
about it. Basically get the right tool for the right job. In this case, the one that you would see in the drawing there, where he would. I'm sure none of them would see it, but once he would set himself up on a rooftop, he would just he would probably be there way before anybody would be there. He would be there like hours prior, just waiting for everything to kind of go through.
I love it. And that is where we will probably kick off. I don't think there's other elements at play here. Everything's kind of on the table. So we have an additional 2 die above 0 dice. Or actually, no. So yeah, you guys are rolling 3 dice. And so if someone wants to give me an engagement roll.
Dio should do
that-
it since he's the new guy.
Yes. So
Where would I
Dio-
do the engagement?
on the far left, like where like the there's a set of dice. And if you click that, and it just comes up, it says simple roll some dice. Click engagement.
From the character sheet or from the?
Just
From
under the
on the
board.
far left of the Foundry page.
Main hub.
Yeah.
I see here. So engagement number of dice.
And-
It's
Is 3. So
And
do it
then-
on 3, and then hit roll.
Make it
no stress, no
exciting.
cootie. Okay.
Roll
And
awesome.
I've chucked the dice.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
You got a
oh,
success.
yeah.
You guys start in a control position. This starts exactly the way
Hell
that
yeah.
you want it to. And so, Dio, exactly as you said, you were there hours ahead of time. You talked to your mentor and you got the right attachment for your arm. I don't have character art for that. I haven't thought about what that character's like, so we'll do that conversation next week if you don't mind. But yes, I will think about that, and I will maybe talk to you a bit about who that person is throughout the week. But you're there, you're on the tower, you have your scope set up, and you can see where they're gonna go. Faye, you've maybe spent some time like over the last couple days, like setting up a meeting with one of the ladies and being like, hey, listen, like I have some people at the docks that could really use your help. And you've set up a time for them to come over, and you have a plan of some sort. to get the Leviathan hunters distracted so that the ladies can cross. Myri and Jacob, where is the ideal location for you to be once these ladies have left the church?
I think like one of the back of the church near one of those shuttered windows that could.
You go in the
Like it.
window.
Absolutely.
It'd have to be like a thing where I guess Jacob would probably boost you up, and then once you're up, you would lean down and hold onto my hand and help Jacob climb up.
Yeah.
And then we go in through the window.
Perfect. And that's
I'm
where
not
we'll leave it.
particularly strong, so I don't know. Does your character have a lot of prowess stuff?
I have.
All right.
I can wreck. I have one in finesse. That's all I got.
Oh, so you got two.
think-
So that's twice as much as me.
Yeah. And I'll say this, you guys are carrying your medium loads, but you maybe brought a ladder, so don't worry about boosting up or whatever. You get in. It takes you a second with that window, but it pops open. And you go down. And we're going to leave it there. Everyone, the folks at home and our players here at the table. And we're going to begin next session with Invasion of the Nicest People in Duskfall.
Yeah.
Perfect. The perfect first group to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
Or-
great.
All right. And that's all that we got for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited for our next score. I'm excited to see Dio in action. Actually, I'm excited to see Albatross in action. Dio, if you start shooting people, it's over. You can't be on the show anymore.
We got a strict no murdering people policy on the show.
Oh,
Yeah, Dio, you
worst
stay
character for
lazy.
you to bring on.
No, Albatross can kill as many people as he wants. There's no judgments here. But yeah, no, I'm excited for next week's episode. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, check out the YouTube, check out the Facebook, join the Patreon. Did you know on the Patreon that Adam is running a monthly show with myself, Sean, Dr. Friendship, and Ridium? Dr. Friendship from the Sinless podcast and Ridium from the Pride Against Prejudice podcast, and he's we're playing Shadowrun Anarchy over there, guys, and it will be out by the time this episode comes out, the first episode of that. So you could join the Patreon and listen to us do that, and it's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, anything else that you guys want to check out? I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm tired. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna leave. Have a good night. Toodle-fucking-loo.
Is that your
All
sign
right.
off? I love it.